ask Dr. Jay Patel to start the topic. जिसको कोई doubt होगा, anybody is having any doubt, they can put in the chat so that we can discuss those doubts at the end of the session. Okay, so Jay bhai, you can start.
Hello, good evening, everybody, or good morning to me. My name is Jay Patel, and as Sunil mentioned, he's my good buddy, and he called me guy.
Okay, Jay bhai, एक minute, एक चीज. See, it was very difficult to catch him and ask him to take a lecture. So बड़ी मुश्किल से मैंने मनाया इनको lecture लेने के लिए. So thank you जय भाई, आपने agree किया lecture लेने के लिए. I know it's difficult for you, यहाँ का time and your busy schedule. So I understand that, but thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. क्योंकि just a brief introduction about how me and Sunil met. He is my junior in bachelor's, but senior in life. He's elder than me. मैं उसको हर बार बोलता हूँ कि भाई तू मुझे भाई मत बोल, but out of respect he keeps saying that, and I also respect that highly. So basically, I have my own practice. I'm a functional capacity evaluator, and the topic of today's session is functional capacity evaluation. I'm sure it's, as Sunil was mentioning me, it's new to India, and I don't know if anybody ever done anything like that in their clinics.
No, I don't think so.
वो लोग सुन सकते हैं? I don't know. Can they reply back?
Yeah. If anybody, please reply back. Switch on your mics, and you can reply back in between. Then switch off after.
So I have not heard that.
Okay. So basically, what I would like to make this more interactive. So if you have any, like, if do you have pen and paper with you?
Yes, sir.
Please start making notes, and if you have any questions, as Sunil said, just text him, and then I'll be happy to answer them. So basically, what functional capacity evaluation is, has anybody have any idea? Can you just briefly tell me quickly if anybody knows what is functional capacity evaluation? Okay, I guess nobody knows. So basically, this test is to perform, it's mostly used in patients or individuals, those who are looking for returning to work after any kind of injury. Let that be any elbow injury, neck injury, back pain, or anything where they are on long-term therapy care, and your employer really wants to know that if he's ready to work as a full-time without any restrictions or limitations. So that's what it is basically, which says that what is your capacity to return to work functionally, not mentally, functionally, to your previous job functions. So that's what it is. It is basically says that it differentiates between impairment and disability of an individual capacity to perform their job duties personally, socially, and occupational demands. Now, the first thing, the purpose of this test, right? It's a huge test. It takes about 4 hours to execute the test, and depending upon your experience and how well trained you are, you will have another maybe hour, 2 hours to write the report. So now talking about the purpose of this test, right? So it is basically it is built for the evaluation skills and training to administer variety of perceptual assessment. As we go into detail, there will be a sort of perceptual assessment and physical testing protocols. Basically, you have to test them perceptually and physically to decide whether this person is compatible and able to return back to work without any restrictions. Now, the successful completion of this course or test will not expand your clinical skills, but it will enhance your marketability and as a clinician, because why I say that is because your clinical skills are based. To perform this test, you should have at least some baseline or experience in clinical field, whether as in you should have been seeing multiple variety of cases, because tomorrow for this test, anybody can come with a thumb injury and ask you to perform this test, like, okay, can you please, you're like a referral source. Insurance company comes and tells you, or doctors comes and tells you that, you know what, this person underwent first CMC joint replacement and he's complaining that he cannot return back to work. So can you clear him? Can you tell me what exactly it is, if he can return back to work or not? So that's how this whole test helps you. So basically it tells you that it does not improve, this testing does not improve your clinical skill. It's based on your clinical skill, what you will test and what you will represent and write on the report. Now, most important thing is, out of this test, you are not trying to give a judgment, or you are not trying to give a decision that, yes, okay, based on his performance today or whatever I performed tests on him, he is clear to go home. No, that's not what any referral source or doctors are looking for. Our job as a functional capacity evaluators is just to tell that, okay, this person is able to perform such, so and so activities, and he is not able to perform such and such activities. So at the end, your conclusion should be only recommendations, whether vocational rehab, like, okay, if this person is with a thumb injury, as an example, if this person is a computer operator or a video gamer, or the person who does use the hand a lot. So what other options would you be able to give him in his field or at his work that will enhance or that will help the employer to keep him at work rather than letting him go? Guys, if you are following me, at least let me know in between. That way I'm sure I know that you are there. Hello?
इधर सर, इधर पे और ऊपर.
Just we can reply in between. Yes, no, something for understanding and all. Okay. Just don't
Okay,
be
sir.
silent, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The scope, basically, what is the scope of this test, right? What you will learn basically of this course. So you will basically learn to design a testing protocol for each and every injury kind of, or a section of body. Like sometimes a patient or an individual can come with multiple body injuries. So you will have to perform a series of functional testing pertaining to that. So like back pain, so somebody had a fall, had fractured his ankle and back and injured his back. So you might have to test him for both, because now he's a driver who has to sit for long hours on one chair and also press the gas pedal on his vehicle. So you will have to test functional capacity for the low back and for ankle. So your testing should comprise both of the body part testing. Then the second thing you will learn is to utilize the Perceptual Questionnaire to identify the presence of any poor psychometric and helps to define underlying limitations, as in somebody is faking it, or like somebody says, basically to identify any Waddell sign. Is anybody aware of Waddell signs?
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir.
No idea of Waddell signs?
Is it what it is by Weddell sign?
Weddell signs.
Weddell sign. Does anybody
Like
know
fear
what it is?
avoidance, Vaddell, Weddell sign.
Okay, I guess nobody.
No idea, sir. No idea.
तो सुना है लेकिन अभी
They are basically non-organic physical signs, like जैसे हम वो Sperling's test करते हैं neck का, right? You turn and lift up the head. या rotation करते हो तो you don't rotate the neck, you just rotate the whole trunk and ask if it's painful, and the person says yes, it is painful, which is wrong. I mean, only neck movement should cause pain, not the body rotation, right? So if somebody says, okay, if you're testing a dermatome myotome of a neurological symptom patient, and if you say, okay, either pe sensation gaya, have you lost your sensation here or just in this area, and they say yes, which does not correspond to any dermatome or dermatome. So you can say, because if it is C6, the whole area should be numb, right? So that's how it is tested. There are series of tests you do in Weddell sign testing to identify whether he's faking or not. Anything more than 3 signs, if person says positive, if he comes positive for any 3 or more signs, then he's basically you don't want to use word faking, but he's what is that word? He's projectioning too much, right? Then next is use of job analysis data. So basically, when you take an intake to perform this test, you need to have a job analysis data, which is the data that you collect from your HR at the job. So basically, you call up the HR 2 days before and then have them fax the whole job description, whether what exactly he's doing at work and how much he's doing at work, like what are his actual job duties. किसी को अगर लेबरर जॉब है या फिर ऐसी कोई ड्राइवर डिलीवरी जॉब है तो उसको कितना वजन उठाना है, like say 50 pounds is his maximum limit at work. You will not test him above 50 pounds. You will stop your test of lifting activity at 50 pounds. Now you need to know that what is he lifting and how is he lifting. जैसे उसको कोई hydraulic lift दी हुई है कि नहीं, और is he physically lifting from the floor or from the table level. So जैसे if somebody is doing like in Amazon jobs में, like they have to lift from the table level to the overhead shelves. So that's also lifting, but then you will not ask him to lift from the floor and put it on the overhead shelves. You will ask him from the table to the overhead shelves. So something like that. So basically use job analysis data to assist designing a job specific testing. So this capacity evaluation testing is more of a what is that word? More of a instant testing, like be creative about it. Like there is no set, there are protocols, which I'll show you when we start doing the complete test, but you can be creative about it. If you don't have some things, you cannot simulate exact job environment. So you have to simulate in your clinic or wherever you are performing this test. So in that way, it is more creative on performing this job analysis data and assisting them with job specific testing. The fourth one is establish a worker's maximum safe lifting and carrying capacity. As I said, maximal safe. So like मैंने पहले बोला कि 50 pounds is the maximum limit of at work. That's what we got from the HR. So that's his max that he has to perform as a full-time employee throughout the day. It may be once. So down during testing, we will know that can be occasional, frequent, or once in a blue moon. you know. So, or consistently, basically he just keeps doing it, like repetitive movement. So you will test for that. Now, then assess for the presence of magnified illness behavior. Waddell sign, again, what I mentioned earlier, Waddell signs, like magnification of the behavior, like pain है, जैसे अगर आप touch कर रहे हो तो normal touch, you know, based on your experience, again, based on your skills, clinical skills, you know कि इसमें इसको, like he should not be complaining this much of pain. ठीक है, you cannot, pain is mostly subjective, not objective, you can understand, but there has to be a reasonable comparison between a gentle pinch, a hard pinch, and a very firm pinch. So based on your clinical knowledge, you should be, and based on the perceptual testing that the client will fill it out or patient will fill it out before starting the testing, you should be able to differentiate whether he is magnifying his symptoms or magnifying his behaviors. Then comes is your administrator and interpreter consistency of effort measures, including cross-validation of the test data. So this part involves some statistical analysis, but we don't have to do much into it. The data will already be provided to you after the end of the test. So all you have to do is figure it out, where does it sit on that criteria, or where does the injured worker sit on the criteria. The seventh thing you will learn is basically this test is to facilitate return to work by providing specific work restrictions, job modification, or specific functional goals for further rehabilitations. So as I said, this test is not to give a judgment or give a direction to doctors or the employers. Here, all you are doing is you are recommending that this person is fit for the current job duties, or he should be given any modifications in the job duties if the employer agrees to do that. And then to assist in the process of disability determination. Again, this is to assist, not to say that whether the person is disabled or not. You are just assisting the employer and the doctor to make a decision whether this person is a disabled or vocational exploration. Basically, what happens is, I don't know if in India there is a workers' comp or not, but say if somebody gets injured at work, he goes on workman's comp. Basically, the goal is to have him return back to work. So if a patient keeps complaining of pain over and over and sees no improvement irrespective of medications, surgeries, or whatever, at that point to make a decision whether he should be eligible for disability or vocational rehab, or he should give a transfer in his work, doctors or the referral source. Basically, the referral source are the companies that hire, like HR companies that hire these individuals, or doctors' offices. That helps them to decide whether this person should be continued as a full-time employee, or modified his work position, or just let him go and have him take a disability through the government. So this testing is more helpful during that. Any questions so far?
So, what do you mean by perceptual questionnaire?
Perceptual questionnaires are basically your they are the set of questions as in pain. Give me 1 minute. Do you guys administer any kind of testing for pain? Basically, it says that it is the perception of a person, right? So for you, a pain can be a smallest pinch or like a baby's slap, you might jump out of fear and scream and shout, and somebody will be like, nothing, it's not a big deal, you know, like a small pinch. So it's your perception over my perception. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Like Ransford pain drawing, then Mcgill pain questionnaire, Waddell's signs. Those are basically perceptions, like how that person perceives the pain.
Okay, sir.
जैसे आप अगर I don't know, like if some of you make food, right, and if you get like a touch burn on a hot surface, somebody will jump off crying, and somebody will just shake their hand off and put it under cold water, and they'll be like, oh, I'll be fine, just put a Bernol or something. So, and somebody will keep crying about it, oh, I got burned, you know. So it's like that. It's basically, it's the perception, the mental state of how the person is perceiving the pain. How is he taking the pain in his day-to-day life during the activity? So this is very important when you start writing your report, because this perceptual pain and pain questionnaires that he's going to fill up is before you start the actual testing, physical testing. That the client will fill it up in advance when you start doing your intake forms. So he is unaware of the test. He has no idea what is he going to go through in 4 hours. So he's going to just fill it up whatever he reads. So basically क्या होता है कि अगर कोई hand injury वाला आया, right, और say neck injury वाला, और उसकी job है, is a construction worker, तो उसको or a contractor, and he has to constantly keep his head up to do some nailing or like electrical work or whatever to evaluate, right? But say he's not happy with his work. He decides that, okay, you know what, मुझे ये job नहीं करनी है, but he cannot just let it go क्योंकि अच्छा पे मिलता है. He can claim a workman's comp, or he can claim disability out of this job. So there are secondary benefits to this. So he might fake this. He might say, okay, you know, मैं उठा ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ मेरा head, और जैसे ही मेरा head ऊपर उठता है, my pain is like 9 out of 10. That's what he puts down on his paper. वो questionnaires जो आते हैं उसमें, there are a set of questionnaires which I'll share with you down the road. But in set of questionnaires, when he's filling up, he does all these things, unaware of the fact that I'm going to test him when he comes back into my office of some of the activities that he's doing. So next thing you know is when in the office, when he's tying his shoes, and when I'm talking to him, he's actually lifting his leg up, head up, and tying his strings of the shoes. That tells me that whatever he filled up on the questionnaire is false, because he said that he is not able to lift his head up, and his pain is 9 out of 10. But when he is in my office and he's talking to me, and while doing the activity of tying his laces, he's lifting his head up. So basically, findings does not correlate with his objective findings. You see what I'm saying? I don't know who asked me the question, but did you get my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's that's called perceptual analysis, which is more subjective than the objective, but we have to cross-reference it. So the same perceptual question as what he has filled up should correlate with your objective findings. Make sense?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay. All right. So next, I'll just give you brief I don't know, Sunil, how long we have? Do we have time? Okay, so the purpose, right? So the process of this testing will encompass a variety of assessment tools, standardized testing protocol, which are developed from the published sources that I'm sure everybody must have learned in their bachelor's or master's about the standardized testing questionnaires, basically what I just mentioned, like Mcgill or Swestry for low back and Ransford pain scale and all those things. You will become familiar with an underlying research publication also during this course. Now, you can either note down or you can do a video recording of the tests that you perform, because sometimes what happens is in some cases it becomes your word against the patient's word. So if you have a video recording, you can go back into that video library and prove that this is how he performed, and everybody can see and decide on the case. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, by definition, what is functional capacity evaluation? It is a systemic process designed to objectively and reliably test an individual, his capacity to safely return to work or perform work-related activities. So basically in this test, it is mostly designed to objectively identify whether this person is ready to go back to full duty work, or he should be restricted, or he should be given a modification of work, or he should just seek for a different kind of work at that point in time. Now, sometimes the referrals, when I say referral source, most common referral sources for such cases or functional capacity evaluations are coming from most commonly are from the HR department of different companies or job. Second is doctor's offices, when they cannot make a decision whether he or she is ready to return back to work. Third one is patient himself, when he has to give a DOT test. In US, there is something called DOT, Department of Transportation. So they want to check whether the person is ready to drive a big CDL trucks, like a delivery, to perform a delivery, or to drive a tractor trailer, or 18-wheelers, or say 6-wheelers. So they want to make sure that the person who's going to drive and deliver whatever it is safe on the roads. So for that, they go to the doctors to fill out a medical form. If doctor feels that he is not 100% ready, or if he has any questions, what he will do is he will refer to us, which is functional capacity evaluators, and say that, okay, can you please test him for such and such functions, and give us a understanding of his functional capacity in that current time. Now, sometimes what happens is, when a person comes to you, he might not be able to perform that activity. The report, you write the report, you send it out to the doctor, right? And then doctor says, okay, you cannot or you can. If it is you can, then it's okay. They have no issues or concerns. But if you write something that, okay, no, he's not ready to return back to full duty work, or he's not able to do this job. So this client comes back to us and says, okay, you know what, you said that this is, I was not able to perform this activity, because they know, because they were we are there in front of them, they are there actively participating in this test, so they know where they were lacking behind. So then they come back to us and they'll be like, oh, can I perform this test again, just this part again which I was lacking into? You cannot do that. You have to rerun the whole battery of tests again. You cannot make a decision based on bits and pieces of this test. This test has to be seen as a whole. So say somebody is able to say, I give an example earlier, like, okay, this job requires 50 pounds of lifting, say on consistent basis for 1 hour, right? So now he was able to perform the test up to 40 pounds without any difficulty. As soon as you added 45 pounds, now he's not able to do it, right? The repetitive lifting. So what you will note down on your test is like patient is not up to the max or near to normal of near to normal of his maximum lifting capacity, which is required by the job. In that case, now the patient himself knows that, okay, I cannot do this. How am I going to, he knows that right then and there that he's not up to the mark for his job. So he doesn't say anything then, he'll wait it out, come back after a week or two and then ask me that, okay, can I do that test again? Your answer should be no. Your answer should be, I cannot test you only for single. Eight-hours job. Normally your job hours are 8 hours, right? Like 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever. So patient being here at your testing facility, test for their endurance, test for their mental stability, test for their physical fitness. So him coming back and asking me to test just for that section which he was not able to perform at his 100%, will not justify your report that you wrote for a week before and which you submitted. Because yes, he might train himself back for next 10 days for that activity and come back and ask you to test it. But that doesn't mean that after a week, he's able to do the remaining batteries of test in the same way that he performed the last time. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, so you cannot say that, okay, I will test you only for that and resubmit the test. No, you will, because whether he has taken medications or not, was he trained in between or not. So you have to go through all of that. And it's not one simple test that is a decision maker here. The whole battery of tests, the whole 6 hours test and your report is the decision maker here. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I'll briefly go over the sections of assessment. Okay? If you have pen and paper and if you want to write it down, I'll just give you the bullet points over here. So let me tell you about the interview process here, because this is important.
भाई एक मिनट आपको
हाँ।
इंटरप्ट कर रहा हूँ. ये मीटिंग अभी एंड होने वाली है ऑटोमेटिकली. सो मैंने दूसरी मीटिंग जनरेट कर दी है. Okay, so I have sent the link in the chat to everybody. I'll send you the link personally, and then we can join there and then restart the thing again.
So you want me to end this meeting right now or continue?